After the accident,
I was stuck paying all these medical bills.
The Witherspoon Law Group understands that you didn't deserve what happened to you, but you do deserve justice.
They weren't just there for me, they fought for me.
I care about what my clients are going through. We are in the fight of their lives.
We don't just fight for you, we fight with you and make sure you get the compensation you deserve.
And that's why we do what we do. And what we do is win.
Call 844-WE-WIN-44.
Welcome to this week's Winning Wednesday. I am so excited today. It is our first Wednesday of me seeing you since the new year, or you seeing me since the new year. So I hope you all are starting off with a bang. I hope you are knocking your goals down. But today we are talking transformation and the journey to. I have a very special guest today by the way of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. His name is James Braxton. Now, James is no stranger to transformation. Born and raised in Newport News, was told by a childhood teacher that he will be seen sleeping on a park bench, and she couldn't wait to see it. Now, I wonder where that teacher is today, because I would love to see her. But through his resilience and faith, and after a long road and journey, James is here today, teaching, coaching, mentoring others. So please join me as I welcome to the show, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about himself and his journey, Mr. James Braxton II. Welcome.
Hey, what up?
So excited to see you today. Now, before we get into this conversation about transformation, I want to share with everybody so they can get this visual, because I've heard your story, I've read your story, seen some of your great works, but I want our audience to really understand who they're talking to. And although you speak with a PhD vernacular and you hold yourself up as a stellar man, we know that it took you some hard work to get there. So let's look at your, I don't want to say before and after because you're still evolving, but let's look at your transformation. Whew, look at that. Now, we can say that guy on the top was headed somewhere. We don't know where, right? But he was headed somewhere. But look at you now. We just see the difference in that. So let's talk about how you went from what looks to be like a mug shot or a juvenile picture to this coach that's helping others get to where they need to be.
Sure. I appreciate you, first of all, for the invite, Iris. And that was a mug shot. I was arrested in 2005 with 3 other young men for attempted robbery and some gun charges. And, I was in a situation where I didn't take school seriously. I was surrounded by trauma growing up. And, we'll get more into the particulars, but I wasn't prepared for life after high school. And so I put myself in a situation where when my back was against the wall, I did what I knew. And from my environment, what I knew was selling drugs and sticking people up. And ultimately that led me to, making a decision that led me to getting locked up. And it was a wake up call, and it was one of many, but, that was the one that I needed, and thank God I got through it, but it was an integral part. It was a critical part of my transformation for sure.
Well, I'm glad you got through it. We thank God for that. But we know without going through, you really can't tell people how to get through, right?
Right.
So it's just unfortunate, but fortunate that God uses some people in their lives as actual testimonies and put them through things so that they can help others through. Oh, so we have so much to dive into. So let's talk about I just don't know where to start, but let's talk about your route to transformation.
Sure.
And then, so let's go back to when you were released from prison. What was it about being in prison or released from prison that gave you an eye opener, or what was your eye opener, or what started your transformation?
For sure. Well, just to clarify, in respect to all the returning citizens, thank God I didn't have to make it to prison. I just made it to City Max in the city, so that's just jail. But I spent 3 or 4 months in there, and it started early on, we're talking about, the family structure broke down. My parents got divorced, you know what I'm saying, when I was 9 years old. That led to, me getting in trouble in school. We moved to a whole different area. I got kicked out of school, kicked out of my mom's house in eighth grade. Man, I'll tell you something wild. Like by the age of 13, I was already tired of strip clubs. You know what I mean? Like that's how we was living. Like that's how we was moving. You know what I mean? So that's why I don't go to them now. Like I'm already it's already played out. We was living real, like, so I just seen, I seen so much, and as a young person, you retain that information and you learn how to make choices and move that way. So, you know, again, I wasn't in high school. Um, it was a barber shop that saved my life, and it was a dental
Oh,
office that changed my life.
okay.
And both of those, yeah, both of those routes led to transformation. So that's why I do the career coaching, because it's all roads lead back to poverty. And if we don't address that, then, and I found my purpose through that. So
Okay. Yeah, I find good talk at the barbershop. I stop by the barbershops in the cities often because you always can find great conversation. And then anytime you need like an advocate in the community, somebody to really get the word across or somebody to connect, those are our barbers and beauticians. I just think that some of them are so, anointed, not only with their hands, but how they're able to communicate, with the people that come in. So thank God for the barbershop and the dental office. We all need somewhere, a start or somebody to believe in or to give us that hope back. So let's talk about your children's book. So you are an author.
yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
Kelly. We are glad that you are here joining us today. Um, you are an author of not only children's books, but let's talk about the children's books and trauma. What have you learned about trauma during the journey of transformation, and what inspired you to start at the children's book level?
For sure. So I've been doing this work, community engagement, youth development for about 11 years, and started off in the field, working directly with young people, working with families. You add my lived experience on top of that, I was seeing all sorts of things and starting to identify what are the root causes of trauma, and what are the root causes of, what leads to the drama that we get ourselves into, that leads to the violence, that leads to the, senseless deaths and the domestic violence. So, anyway, years later, here I am, 35 years old, and I'm working for an organization where, I go to a workshop somewhere in Richmond, and that is the first time I ever heard the term ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. And so I'm 35 years old, and I'm just now learning about the stuff that I've been going through that's been impacting, my
Mm-hmm.
moods and the choice. I tried to commit suicide 2 times, right? And
Mm-hmm.
as it back in high school, and thank God I survived it. But I there was nobody for me to relate to in a time, like that, I felt like could
Right.
tell me what was going on with me. That was a reflection of me. So, I went uneducated and uninformed, and that led to, even my behavior in school. I'm wilding on all authority, you know what I mean? Like I'm threatening to fight teachers. What I'm saying, I'm ended up in, I call it in school segregation. Like I wasn't even in regular classes. Like that's how much of a menace I was. But it was the unidentified advocate in me. It was the
Mm-hmm.
unidentified power in me that was misdirected. And I just didn't get what I need. And a lot of kids don't get what they need. So, I wanted to create a tool with the children's book that'll help adults learn how to have conversations about trauma, that the trauma that kids are facing every day with parental, divorce, with community violence, with the things that they see in the home, outside of the home, in ways that we can talk to them in an interactive way, in a way that, that they can
Mm-hmm.
relate to, and that makes hard conversations a little easier. So that's why I decided to, let me get on a level where we can catch them where it's receptive and start to form
Mm-hmm.
their thoughts and their perceptions of themselves and their perceptions of their community and their family. Catch them at that level. That's really where it starts. Because I worked at all levels of it. I dealt with adults, dealt with young people, teenagers, and then, I've engaged middle schoolers and at the elementary level. And we got to catch them there with the intervention. So that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. Now, okay, so let's see. Can we bring up the cover of one of the books, the book covers, because the illustrations and everything, it just speaks to our community, and I like I don't want to call them characters, but I guess the characters in the book. The kids with the hoodies and at the basketball courts and things like that. So you call it Heroes of Trauma. So can you tell us about this particular book?
Yeah, Soul Strong Heroes of Trauma. Soul Strong really to me means internal fortitude and just being able to make it in the face of adversity, and being resilient. And Heroes of Trauma because young people are so resilient, and we want to tell those stories too. They still, in spite of whatever might happen at home, they going to school. For the most part, and you see some kids that's you'll be surprised they honor roll when you go home. They struggling to find food, you know what I mean, or clothes. It's just dire situations. So I wanted to reflect that in the book, but in a way that would not, tell the story that would make people sad, but empower people and show them how
Okay.
to look at maybe trauma differently, in a way that'll lead to resilience in a different way.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I don't even realize some people in our community identify with the traumatic things that affect their decision making and things like that today. So some adults might need to start with their book. It wouldn't be a bad thing. Where can we purchase that?
On my website, it is www.jamesebraxtonii.com,
Okay,
and
so look for
I
us on
stands
this
for the second.
website. And then let's all stop and follow him right now at Soul Strong LLC on all of the social media platforms so we can keep up with all the great works that he's doing. He's constantly doing things in the justice system and can use people behind him when he's trying to advocate for certain things within the juvenile system. But I really encourage every teacher, if you're a teacher, call James, get these books in your classrooms. This is the type of education that we want to put out in our community to help our children understand the differences in the things that they're going through and how to effectively get help, stop the violence. This is a big one. Tell us a little about this and when you authored this.
Yeah, that's a part of the book, and I wanted to reflect what young people are seeing, when they're on their way to school or their after school programs, or even in school sometimes with, just art, graffiti, what people have access to online and social media. We got to talk about these things. We can't be afraid to talk about these things with young people. And you see so many adults that, well, they might try to, shadow the kid from what's really going on, or they don't know how to talk about it themselves. So I wanted to reflect that, you know what I mean? And I wanted
Mhm.
to cause a conversation. So when you see this, I ask young people, what do you see when you look at this? And that's a conversation starter. So, for a caregiver or a parent at home that may be living in a neighborhood that's riddled by crime, riddled by
Mhm.
violence, this is a way to open the conversation up for them.
Yeah, and I see they wearing their masks, so that is definitely during pandemic time, which we all are pushing through right now. So very relevant in today's time. So teachers, please contact James. Grab these books for your students, for your parents. Great conversation pieces or ways to start conversations in your home and at the dinner table. Excuse me, or just doing your mentoring sessions. Oh, so fireworks golf. Look at Marcus. Marcus is, oh, so that's good because people don't understand why Marcus is not all excited about the fireworks. Instead, he's more triggered. So that
Exactly.
helps. So books like this will help in classrooms where it's that to help other cultures understand, maybe too, right? So this is not just for our community. These books should be shared throughout. So that is helping with that cultural sensitivity. And that should start at the childhood age because we have adults that don't know how to be sensitive to the other cultures or things that one may have experienced around them. So that's an awesome point that you made there in the book, the different types of traumas. So we talk about non-traditional routes. When I met you, you and I were both in Virginia, same mission. We're going to help these high school seniors find a route that because it may not be college, right? Because both you and I know some people choose their own path regardless to what's laid before them. Some people don't have a choice or they don't have direction. So we were there trying to learn tools and ways to go back into our underserved communities to motivate our young people on how to tap into themselves and get to their next level. So what are some of the things that you're doing now to help non-traditionally in our community?
What I see the most, especially with young men, is they need to be inspired and they want to be inspired. They want to live a good life, even though they might not have the circumstances or be in the environment to do that, but they want to be inspired. And so I try to make the right choices and I try to live and I try, like I started my business and I made it public and I'm posting and I'm doing all the things that I'm doing because of the young people that follow me. And
Mm-hmm.
now they're taking that on like, yo, you know what, I can do that too, because I dropped out of college 4 times. I didn't take the traditional route. You know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
want to show people that, and I want to show them that we should be valued with our lived experience and our credibility as high as a rate as the person that has the highest credentials, you know, doctorate, PhD, all of that. If we have the skill set, if we have the lived experience, if we know how to move in those rooms and we can do the same work the same way, even better, and produce tangible outcomes, well, you know, we start talking that talk. We know we doing, you know, if we can
Start
do that,
talking.
then you're gonna respect our value and you're gonna
That's
incentivize
right.
that, or we're gonna create our own way. And if I can do that, if I can show them that way, if I can show them that route, and then give it back to them and encourage them to invest in themselves, then that's what's gonna get us out of this mess. That's what's gonna get us
Mm-hmm.
out the root of this is us doing that and then investing back into our communities and bringing our others out.
We must invest back into our communities. Now we have a few more minutes, so let's quickly talk about the journey through transformation because we talk about it. You spoke of committing suicide, so that means you had a bout with depression, or so. What are some of the tools you need on your transformation journey?
You know
What
what?
helps an adult? Um, what type of, I guess, community do you need around you when you're trying to transform?
Hey, I'm gonna leave it to one word, belief. And I'm talking directly to the to people right now. Like you have to believe in yourself. It has to be an unwavering belief because so many young people are surrounded by disbelief. It's
Mm-hmm.
disbelief sometimes, most times by their family, the people that are supposed to believe in them and encourage them the most, their friends, the school system, the justice system. They're surrounded by disbelief. And so you have to, when you see something in yourself and when you really believe in it, you have to hold to that if you're the only one that believes. And that's where it starts. Like once you believe in what you do, then you learn the tools and how to do it and how to make it happen. But if you the person closest to you, their disbelief can break all of that. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
my recommendation and my advice is to get away from all disbelief. Get away from all disbelief at whatever cost. And it may hurt because it's somebody that you came up with, somebody that you got love for. Y'all got certain ties. You got to weigh all of that because it's
Mm-hmm.
weighing you down. So, you know, to me, it's
Wow.
disbelief. Yeah,
Belief.
belief.
Now, one word, belief. So if you don't take one word with you this week, it's belief, and that's the belief in yourself. Um, but how do a young man that don't have a father figure around, um, been told by teachers like you, you're not smart, give it up. Where would that belief come from? Where do I pull from?
You know what? You always got to go back to the core of who you are. You know, I
Mhm,
always think back to, you know, the things that interest me from when I was a little boy, the things I was always good at. You
mhm,
know what? I'm gonna tell you something about overthinking. Like people tell me all the time, and I hear all the time that overthinking is a bad thing, right? And people will tell
mhm,
you all the time there's bad things about yourself that just are you. And I for a long time I fed into that, so I stopped thinking. And when I stopped
mm,
thinking, I stopped manifesting my visions, right? And so I
mhm,
started looking at it differently, right? And so I share this about overthinking. You can overthink a situation one of two ways. You can overthink it into anxiety and depression, or you can overthink it into a solution, a sustainable solution. It's about intent, right? It's about your intention
mhm,
of thought. So, what is your intentional thought about yourself? That's what it comes down to. You start to craft out what intentional thoughts you have about yourself. You start to talk about yourself differently. You start to think about yourself differently.
mhm.
You start to see yourself differently in spaces that you know you deserve to be in, and then you learn that language. Like everything I learned, I taught myself. I learned from other people watching them, or I YouTube, the YouTube University. I
YouTube
graduated with,
University.
yeah. I need to learn. Oh, I wanted to shoot a video for one of my projects. I ain't got time to wait for you to tell me you ain't got the time for 6 months. So I'm gonna learn how to do it. I'm gonna learn the equipment. I'm gonna watch YouTube. I'm gonna figure it out myself. I'm gonna make it happen. Unwavering belief.
Unwavering belief. Wow. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the products that you offer now with your coaching, to help get not just children but adults. You take adults and help them get to their goals and to set new goals. So tell us about your coaching program.
Yeah, it's an online career coaching course called Nail Your Dream Career. It's short, it's to the point. It's like 6 videos, maybe 8 to 16 minutes long each, and they all cover skills that got me through on my journey. Like when I was going through a situation, when I was going, I was getting out of jail,
Mhm,
I had felonies on my record. I couldn't get a job. I had lost my
mhm,
apartment, I lost my
mhm,
car, I lost my job the day before I got locked up. I had nothing, you know what I mean? And so I had to build from scratch. I was able to take that and become a pediatric dental assistant. I became a residential property manager, a hotel manager. You see me doing the community outreach. And then I learned through those
mhm,
experiences, I can do anything, but can I teach it back? Right. And so
mhm.
there's a lot of unconventional ways I learned to get into those opportunities. And I wanted to put it into something that people could resonate with. It could get to whoever. And that's what I did. And I made it $38. So it's a simple investment. It ain't gonna break you, but it's gonna make you look at yourself and ask you, what is this worth?
$38. And I think everybody watching is worth $38 to themselves. We give $38 to Starbucks in 1 week. So why not $38 to help you become a better you so that you can give that back to your community? So what's the name of it again? The coaching?
Nail your dream career. And the link is
Nail
actually on
your
all my,
dream
yeah,
career.
nail your
So we
dream
all want to
career.
nail our dream career job. Is it nail your dream career or nail your dream career job?
Nail your dream career.
Nail your dream career. Leslie Lloyd said
Yeah.
faith. So faith, belief, yes, those are our words for the week. Faith and belief. Well, we have had nail your dream career. There we go. Very interesting conversation so far, and I can go on and on. But I want to touch on one more subject before we leave, and that's mental health and counseling.
Yeah.
How has counseling, or what type of therapy did you go through that kind of, what do you use as far as therapy to assist you with staying focused and staying strong? Because when you have something down on the inside of you and you know it's good for the world, attacks come daily,
Yeah.
right? So we have to fight off those attacks, not only the things that come up adversity as when it comes to who's going to finance this and who's going to do that, but real devilish type attacks. So what type of methods do you use to combat, the attacks and the doubt that may arise in our minds sometimes when we're going through trying to finish projects?
For sure. Make no mistake, we talking about spiritual warfare and the
Mhm.
exposure to trauma, just in the physical sense. Back when I was in private Christian school at the kindergarten stage, they told my mom I was possessed by the devil. And so,
Okay.
she pulled me out of that.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, when I met you.
Yeah, that was wild. And then the teacher you talking about that told me I was gonna sleep on a park bench is actually a dude, is actually a guy, a white man, his name is Steve. And so I haven't been able to find him
Hey,
yet.
Steve.
What's up, Steve? I ain't been able to find him yet, but when I do, I'm gonna
We
show him what's
find
going
you,
on.
Steve.
Yeah, yeah, let him nail his dream career. But from there, right? Like, when I tried to commit suicide in high school, this is 11th grade. I'm a whole stepdad in 11th grade. I'm working 2 jobs in
A
11th grade.
stepdad?
Listen, if we had an hour, we can really get into it. But think the exposure, and I'm living in a trap house. Like it's wild at an early age, right? So the exposure just continues and it continues and it stacks on. But once I right took accountability for because I've always struggled with rage. I've always struggled with violence, right? Like passed down from my father, and then the community violence I was exposed to and I participated in, it's just always been a part of me. So how do you undo that? For me, it started with taking responsibility for it. Like, yo, bro, you can't respond this way in situations because now it's costing me, right? Like I got
Mhm.
kids now. I can't afford to be calling my people to bail me out of jail. Like I got too much to lose. So I started weighing options, man. And it makes you start looking at yourself like, yo, what are the tools that I need? And so as a black man, for me, and it's not for everybody. And I got comrades that, it's not for, but for me, I need therapy. I'm in therapy
Mhm.
now. And I'm telling my partner, like, bro, I need the tools. Like, I asked him the other day, I said, sir, do you have an emergency line? Like, does my insurance get me through to you when I need you in a moment? You feel me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I push
therapy.
therapy for me for sure.
That's good. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, pushing through like a real G would, because I can tell in your eyes you're a little under the weather, but you have not let us down. You did not disappoint today. I mean, you gave us tons of information. Please follow him on Soul Strong LLC. If you're a teacher in the education industry, I encourage you to reach out, get those books for your classrooms, for your parents. James, anything you would like to say going out today?
Nah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the invite. I hope I see and talk to y'all again. And remember, just unwavering belief.
Thank you. Thank you, James Braxton. Thank you all for joining me today for Iris in the City. I hope that you definitely don't look like what you've been through, Mr. Braxton. Thank you for your work in the community. Oh, no, he don't.
Appreciate that.
And then I thought he was so much older when I met him. I mean,
Word up. Like,
I was the granny in the room, but everybody has such a wealth of information, but nobody believed I was the granny. I had to keep pulling up pictures of my daughter. This is my
you
daughter.
was the party girl, yeah.
I was not
Irish in the city.
I was keeping everybody in line. You know I was.
You was Irish in the city, word up. Yeah,
In Virginia.
True
But
story.
thank you again. I'm going to continue to pray for your journey and that God sends you who and what you need to get you through. And thank you all for following me. And we're on this transformation journey. Until next week, be safe and have unwavering belief.
Peace out there.
After the accident,
I was stuck paying all these medical bills.
The Witherspoon Law Group understands that you didn't deserve what happened to you, but you do deserve justice.
They weren't just there for me, they fought for me.
I care about what my clients are going through. We are in the fight of their lives.
We don't just fight for you, we fight with you and make sure you get the compensation you deserve.
And that's why we do what we do. And what we do is win.
Call 844-WE-WIN-44.